All right. Hello and welcome everybody to Cultivating Learning, Techniques to Explore Animals and Habitats Through Art with the National Zoo. We are so excited to be here with you today. We're going to be doing few different things together, but all of them will connect with exploring art making and facilitation techniques to keep all learners engaged in STEAM lessons, exploring animals, habitats, and more. This is part of our Cultivating Learning webinar series, which began last month, where we are inviting wonderful educators like the educator we have with us today to model techniques that work really well for them in engaging students with digital museum resources. So today we're going to do a few different things. We're going to start off with a quick introduction and some logistics about how this session is going to work today. And then we're going to dive into the fun stuff, where our guest, Kaden Borseth, is going to be walking us through some techniques that they use in exploring animals and habitats through art with students. If you haven't already, as we get started today, be sure to gather something to draw with and something to draw on. There are a lot of different types of materials you could use. I found a piece of scratch paper and a marker. I believe Kaden might have a whiteboard with them and a marker. Philippa, you've got some stuff too. Maybe you want to use your phone and a drawing device or something like Jamboard. Whatever you have is going to work great. We'll use it in one of the activities that we're doing together today. So, we should probably start off with some introductions. So my name is Tess Porter. I'm a digital content producer at the Smithsonian Center for Learning and Digital Access, where I work with Philippa Rappaport, who is our manager of community engagement. The Smithsonian Center for Learning and Digital Access is the office behind the Smithsonian Learning Lab. And we're joined today by Kaden Borseth, who is a learning program specialist at the Smithsonian's National Zoo.
Hello, I'm happy to be here with you all.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So today's program is part of a series of webinars that explore how to use digital museum resources to support learning. So up on the screen here, you can see our May schedule. You'll also be able to find this schedule later this week at our Help Center, so you can see the link below. But you can see we have a range of offerings. We have a Getting Started program. We have another Cultivating Learning session coming up on the 11th. We have help creating collections. And then we also have drop-in office hours. And then at the end of the month, we have another one of this specific series, Cultivating Learning. If you would like to come and you can't, all of these sessions will be archived, today's session and the Cultivating Learning and some of the others. So you can always watch those later after the fact, and you can find those at the Help Center. The Learning Lab is a free online platform where you can discover digital museum resources from across the Smithsonian and beyond. You can create interactive learning experiences with them, and then you can share your discoveries and creations with others. So we'll be sharing a few resources from the National Zoo today, and you can find links to these resources in the description of the video. So next page, please. And what we're showing you here is the Help Center. So this isn't just a place to find upcoming and archived webinars. You'll also find here step-by-step instructions to do essentially everything in the lab, from searching for resources to building your own collections of resources to use with your students. So before we get started, this is just to tell you that we'd love to hear from you. So please, for sure, put your comments in the chat. If you're joining us today by YouTube, you would do that over in the chat on the far right. If you're joining us today through Facebook, you can also do it through the comment section at the bottom. And so now I'll turn it back over to Tess and we'll get started. Oh, Tess, you're muted.
Of course. So thank you so much, Philippa. And yeah, I just want to echo what you just said. Today, we're hosting an interactive session. We want to hear from you, and we're also going to be doing some activities together. So you can enter your comments, your questions at any time using the chat or comment box. And to get us started off with today, we wanted to ask a question that we hope would be a good warming up point. We want to know, what is your favorite animal? Please feel free to share this in the chat. While we wait for favorite animals to come in, Kaden, would you like to start us off with your favorite animal?
Absolutely. I find it very hard to pick a favorite animal because all animals are pretty awesome. My cat sleeping on the windowsill right now is probably my favorite, but I usually say naked mole rats are my favorite animal. Yeah, they're so ugly, they're cute. I just always like animals that, like ants, they're there and you know they're there, but you don't see everything that's happening underground. So I love naked mole rats. They live completely underground, so that is why they are my favorite.
I love that. Thank you, Kaden.
Yeah.
Philippa, how about you?
I am particularly fond of my cousin's Shar-Pei dog, who kind of looks the same from the front and the back.
A little wrinkly.
Yeah. I think my favorite animal, it's hard to pick for me too, but I really love tapirs for the same reason that they're a little unusual and just very, very cute. I see some great comments here in the chat as well from folks in the audience. So I see a lake sturgeon, a loggerhead sea turtle, and American alligators, sloth bears, honey eaters, and friarbirds. Oh, that's wonderful that you can see them in your garden.
I need to look those up.
Yeah.
I don't know what a friarbird is.
I know.
I need to just come visit you on Australia, I think. That's where it came from.
Love this. I see lemurs too. I love lemurs. I love all of these animals. Wonderful.
Yep. And welcome from Queensland, Australia. It's great to have you here.
All right. We ready to dive in?
I think so.
Okay. Just a reminder, if you're joining late, grab something to write on and something to write with, because we're going to do a fun activity. But as Tess said, I'm Kaden Borseth, a learning program specialist at the National Zoo, and my program pronouns are they and them. We're going to talk about some of the ways that I've found to really interact and engage with students over a digital platform. I know a lot of you have been doing that, maybe still are, at least part-time. So we want to hear from you too on different ways you found successful engagement with that. We'll talk about some of the various programs we have coming up and the opportunities. But with our programs, we offer a variety of different programs on different platforms, kind of depending on what age we're going towards, whether it's a meeting or a webinar, more interactive or more typing Q&A. So we try and do a lot of different things. So we'll mention some at the end, but we have video series like Explore Beyond Your Door. We do different webinars. We have a lot upcoming. So we will give you all the links are in like YouTube and Facebook. You'll see them, but we'll mention them more at the end. But just thinking about the ways we're engaging our audiences is the first place we start when we're thinking about, okay, we're going for this age group, what would be the best platform for them? Then with my school programs, we tend to do most of them really interactive. So it could be a class or all of fourth grade, but one-on-one, so one on a classroom, so that we're able to converse back and forth, be able to ask questions, answer them. But of course, I can't talk to every single student and can't get their feedback. So some of you in the chat can tell me too, how do you make sure you engage your students when you can't call on every single one? I know that one thing that I do, I use a lot of thumbs up or movements with my programs. So if things are going well, or if you agree, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down. We move like turtles and like monkeys and different things just to get our bodies moving. But if you have anything, I'd be totally interested to hear what everyone else has done to engage their students as well. But the thing I like most about engaging students is using art. So I like STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And the reason I like art is because that is how I listen. And I know that in a digital format, it can be really hard, especially for a younger audience, to really pay attention and actually get something out of what their teacher is teaching them. Because like I do, I start to look out the window or at my cat. And so it really helps me to have a pen and pencil, and some of you may doodle in class or in meetings. I know I do, because that's how I listen the best. But that is why I brought art into it. So really engage different types of learners. So we're gonna go through an activity that I do with one of my programs, so that it's an activity that you can grab and do yourself or adapt in the future. But here's a picture of me with some of the art. So this is from our Habitats program. And in Habitats, we talk about the 4 basic needs of animals. So you might be able to see in the upper left-hand corner of what I drew, there's an apple, so for food. There's water, there is air, and there's shelter. And then we draw different habitats. But we are going to do our Suited for Survival program, which is a program that talks about, oh, I don't want to give the word away. We'll see it in a second. So here's our Suited for Survival program. So what animal is this? You can place it in the chat. What is this? What are you looking at? Oh, good. Yeah, Aaron says use polls for a lot of the comments and questions. Absolutely, we do the same thing. All right, who knows what this ball is? It's got a little hair, a hard shell. Tess, do you have a guess?
Well, based on the hard shell, it reminds me of an armadillo. Is that what this is?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there are different kinds of armadillos. We have screaming, hairy armadillos at the zoo, as well as 3-banded armadillos. I believe this one is a 3-banded armadillo. Yeah, we've got some armadillo guesses. There they are. Awesome. So the first thing we talk about is our armadillo, and we introduce the zoo and why zoos are important, but then we talk about survival. So taking a look at this armadillo, what are some of the methods this armadillo has to help it survive out in the environment, in its habitat? Those in the chat. And we can think of some of our own ideas, but I teach our students to really use our senses and engage. So over digital, I still use listening. There's a lot of animal sounds when I'm at the zoo. We use our movement in our bodies. We touch some things or think about what it might feel like. So this would be hard, kind of like your fingernail. So you can feel your fingernail and feel what that feels like. That is what this armadillo shell is made of. It's like keratin, just like our fingernails. So what are some different survival mechanisms that this animal has? Any guesses?
Wanted to give folks in the chat a moment to respond.
Yep. And we go over like, what are the different ways they can survive? Well, they need to be able to eat. So they need to be able to eat and drink. So how are they adapted to eat and drink for their habitat? So you can think about that with your answers. They need to be able to survive with other animals around and with weather. So different things. Good. I see camouflage. Absolutely. It's going to be camouflage in its environment. It's going to protect itself by drawing inwards. Absolutely. So that's where that ball comes in. Their tail and their head has armor just like their back. And that protects their very soft belly. That is where they're most vulnerable. Absolutely. They have okay eyes, but they have a much better sense of smell. So that is one way they're going to be finding food, as well as protecting themselves from predators that they might smell approaching them. Yeah, absolutely. Good. So we go into, well, what is this called? Well, these are called adaptations. So how the animal is adapted to survive in its environment. So all different animals have different ways they find food and water. There are different adaptations for eating and drinking. And even our newest baby panda has adaptations to help it eat bamboo and drink water. It has a very strong jaw and a really cool thumb that helps. But we are going to see if we can guess who this next animal is, and then we'll try drawing it. So with students, I also find that really engaging them in trying to do kind of a mystery is great for a lot of programs. So we're going to build our way up with our mystery animal. So this animal has fur. So they are a mammal. So I'm sure there's lots of ideas in your head right now. This animal eats small insects. All right, might narrow it down a little bit more. Here could narrow it down even more. I live in South America. And put your ideas in the chat if you have them. Here's one that may give it away for some of you, or at least narrow it down more. I belong to a group named for our worm tongues. See what guesses we have. What kind of animal could this be? It's a mammal. It eats insects in South America, and it has a tongue that is much like a worm. What do we think? Good, I see anteater. Yeah, absolutely, you are correct. It is a type of anteater. Good, I see lots of anteater answers. Great job. Gold stars for you. So this anteater is a southern tamandua. We have 3 of them at the small mammal house where I do this program. And this is one of them. They are all super, super adorable. And because you never know if the animal will be out and about, I also put pictures. Oh, did it pause when I went away? I put pictures and videos in there of the different animals, just so we can up close look, because an animal may be sleeping or it may just be hiding somewhere. This is our newest anteater, and there's her worm-like tongue. This is Chiquita. We also have Manny and Cheyenne, which they are just adorable. All right, so they are known for their tongue. So here's where our drawing starts. So with this first drawing, take whatever you have to draw on, and on the left side of your page, draw that head of the anteater and that long tongue, because we are talking about food and eating for their adaptations. So got a little mouth. And a nice fun fact about these tamanduas, their mouth is really only the size of an eraser on the end of a pencil. So it's a really small mouth. So this long tongue is going to help it eat lots of different insects. It loves to eat communal insects, things like termites, ants, even bees. All right, so you can hold up your drawing and share with everyone. Oh, look at that, very artistic. Let's see it. Looks great. I love it. Okay, so we've got our tamandua, and I'll put a little bit of it in the eyeball there so you can see. Okay, so our first adaptations with eating. So then I usually talk to the students, what other eating adaptations or drinking adaptations can we think of for different animals? But we will go on to our next animal so we can draw a little bit more. And our next animal we will think about is protection. Oh, I need to get back to my PowerPoint. Here we go. So animals have protection, just like that armadillo we talked about. So some may have venom like the copperhead. They may have sharp teeth like lions, a hard shell like a turtle or an armadillo. Or they may be very, very well camouflaged or be able to climb up ceilings like the leaf-tailed gecko. Okay, so let's see if we can guess this one. This one's a little bit easier to guess. This one lives all throughout North America from Canada through Mexico. This animal is nocturnal. So remember that means they are active at nighttime. They have black and white fur. So type it in the chat when you think you know it. And people often smell me before they see me. What could this animal be? Wait for it to pop up in the chat. This one's one of the favorites. And we have two of them. Clementine, and I forget her sister's name. Yeah, I see a little skunk emoji. Absolutely. So it's a little stinky cat, basically. Yes. So we've got our skunk. So let's check out our skunks that we have. And you can see how adorable they are. We have striped skunks, but there are different types of skunks, like spotted skunks. And here is a video of them getting a little bit of food. This is where I also teach students about enrichment. So you see the thing on the left, the green and orange thing, is one of their places they eat. And they will get this device. Some of you may have it for a cat or a dog at home too. They have to figure out how to open it and be able to get the food out. They're also doing that with the paper towels and the newspaper in these two containers to try and hunt for the food just like they would if they were outside. So this is enrichment, gets their brains working just like games and other things for us. Does the same thing, gets our brains going. I know I play a lot of Sudoku to get my brain working. Okay, so their protection. We all know their protection, I think. They've got that smelly, smelly, smelly gland in their bottom. So they have oil glands they can release. So we are now going to draw on the right side of our page, and we're going to draw that skunk's bottom. So draw that tail and maybe even some scent coming out of it. All right. That's a really good question, Aaron. So we have some teachers saying, you know, they struggle with drawing with timing limits. Absolutely. So being able to communicate expectations with planning the lessons when you have something like this. With students that I do the field trips for, I always make sure the teachers say, hey, make sure they have a pen and a pencil or something to write on, something to write with. But, you know, it doesn't always happen. So at the beginning of my programs, I always make sure I give them time so that they're able to grab something if needed, as well as encourage them to finish after. So we'll probably not totally finish this animal, but usually I add eventually that armadillo back that we did. And then we talk about marsupials with our Bennett's wallaby, as well as naked mole rats. So I draw naked mole rat feet and a pouch like our Bennett's wallaby has. So our friend from Australia, you've probably have these in your yard. And then I usually have them draw whatever ears they want. So I usually draw like elephant ears and then have them share pictures like this. So, but I encourage them, since I know time limits, like finish it afterwards. We name it. I've had kids name it Borseth Jr. They named it after me. I've also had them name it Mutt, as in like a mutt dog. So all different things. And then I encourage them to write a story afterwards too. So, and that lets them be able to edit and draw their picture more and, you know, make it a little fancier if, you know, they're really artistic and they wanted to do that. And Tess, if you want to share the picture that they have with all the students up. So this is a classroom that drew along with me, and I quickly grabbed a screenshot when some of them were lifting up or putting down, but these are some of our Mutt Juniors. And Tess and Philippa, let's see yours. How they look.
Well, I started drawing the skunk on the edge, like I believe Philippa did, but then I went back and I added a little tail. So my mutt, my Borseth Jr. has a little friend too.
I like it. That's great. They look wonderful. Good. And this is a great activity that you can do for a lot of different things. Sure, we make one here, but I also encourage students to, okay, think about your favorite animals. What kind of adaptations do they have to live outside? Or a lot of kids say shark or dinosaur, so combining some of these really cool animals can be an art project that they could use later if they don't have time for class. So maybe with time limits, having it be more of a homework and share later would be great. Yeah. I know if you are all drawing along with us or finish the project, we would love to see it as well. So you can always post it to us. You can tweet it and we can see your drawings, and we can even see what other animals you may have included as well. But you can use this for a lot of different things. Putting it with English is great. I love having students write a story and telling me about, their animal that they create. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kaden.
No
Would
problem.
this be a good time to switch over? I know one question that I have is, what kind of resources does the National Zoo have online to help kind of complement experiences
Yes,
like
absolutely.
this?
Absolutely. So online, we have a lot of different things. So we have, my favorite is Explore Beyond Your Door, because that's a project that I did right at the beginning of COVID when the zoo was closed. We're all trying to figure out, what are we doing? How can we get nature, into classrooms and learn about animals, even though I can't go to the zoo? So I love to go outside, and this is what I do anyway. So I just started filming, taking people on walks. So these are great, 5-minute videos roughly that you can use for your classrooms. Really great introductions to senses or to birds or turtles, and just really getting kids to get outside and explore. So I love Explore Beyond Your Door. There's also a nature journal attached to it. So it's a resource that a teacher could print or give to students, or even have them make their own nature journal when they go on their walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep. We also have various webinars. So I mentioned some of these coming up. Oh yeah, we can talk about that too. There's so many
good
go in your
resources
order.
here.
Yeah.
Just a note for folks watching, I put this in the chat, but just in case you missed it, links to everything we're showing here are in the description of the video, so you can follow along there.
Yeah, so you'll be able to save them. Our webinars we have, so as I mentioned, our school programs are mainly through like a Zoom meeting type platform or Teams, so one-on-one. The webinars are on Zoom webinars so that we are able to still engage through polls and Q&A. And we have 4 really, really cool ones coming up. There's a couple listed, and we'll expand on the other ones. But we have on Wednesday and Thursday this week, we'll be on American Trail looking at sea lions with the Natural History Museum, as well as black-footed ferrets. So we'll be taking a trip out west to see them. And then on May 5th, I'll have a burn banding webinar for Migratory Bird Week, as well as we'll have a STEAM careers. So we have a nice, if you scroll down, you will see actually our archive of our STEAM webinars. So these are different, we call them unusual careers. They're all different ways that you can go into conservation. If you don't want to be an educator like me, you could still be in conservation. There are web designers. There are people that take care of our animals. There's our pathologists. So great video clips that you can explore with your classroom. Then one of my favorites you hit on earlier was our webcams. So one way you can also do this art and drawing activity is by using our live webcams, or even some of our video on our animal fact sheets. We have all of those. There's videos and pictures. So if you visit a webcam 24/7, you are able to see these animals, as long as they're not hiding from the camera, able to see how they're acting, what they're doing. And we even, check out what our baby panda's doing right now. Let's see. Probably napping. Yep. He is definitely napping. But he is growing up so fast. He is adorable. And you can play bingo too with your students. So you could create your own activity, but we did create some bingo activities. So you're able to teach them to observe and really actually notice some of these different natural behaviors that animals have. We also have Learning Lab. So you can find that one.
Yes.
And with our Learning Lab, we have one about the STEAM careers. We have an Explore the Rainforest, which is a rainforest walk I've been doing with kindergarten students, mostly in DC, but we'll continue that next year. Follow That Bird is a great one, especially for older students, migratory bird activities. And then we will be putting up our Explore Beyond Your Door Learning Lab again as well. It's just going through some edits right now, so it'll be up in the next month or so. What else did I put on there? I did most of it.
This is so many really rich resources. I think the only other thing here is the school programs.
Yeah, how could I forget that one? So yes, if you or your class would love to take a field trip with me, we don't have any more for the rest of the year. They book up very fast, but you can find our information on the website. You can email us and get put on our educator newsletter, and we can email you when they are posted again. But we have various programs about all kinds of different things, habitats, adaptations, life cycles. So lots and lots of different fun programs you can join me for.
This is fantastic. Thank you so much, Kaden, for walking us through these. They seem like wonderful resources to, while we can't visit the zoo in person or zoos in our community in person, this is one more way to continue exposing students to animals. But also when we're going to be able to visit again, what a wonderful way to extend in-person experiences.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'm kind of wondering from other people, since some of you are back in the classroom, at least part-time, how do you see yourself still engaging with us on a digital platform, whether it's through Learning Lab or through our programs? How will you continue all these cool digital resources that we've all been working to build over the last year? And what are some of your favorites? If you all have favorites that you have loved, especially animals, I would love to know about them.
I'm just entering these questions in the chat for folks to refer back to, but for everybody watching, we're really in our schedule today, our Q&A session. We would love to hear your responses to these questions. We would also love to know any questions you have. And we'd love to do too. I think this is also a wonderful opportunity to just take a step back and reflect on the activity that we did together. Taking off our student hats and putting our educator hats back on about what we noticed doing that activity together, which is a lot of things to discuss. But this feels like the perfect time for it. So I'm going to finish entering the question here in the chat.
Sounds good. Yeah, I would love to know what you all thought about the activity. If you have any feedback, is it something you would do with your students, or at least like to do on the field trip?
Yeah, I could start off with some observations as a participant in that activity, working on my drawing. I really appreciated the way that you presented an opportunity for us to kind of, spark our curiosity as a way of, thinking about, okay, all of the animals I know, pulling on, my prior knowledge of what do I think this animal might be. And then as you walked us through the different adaptations that they have for survival and such, it was a way, to think more about, the reasons why they have these adaptations, but then as a way to solidify my knowledge or another way to do it, putting pen to paper and drawing it out and expressing myself a little bit was a really lovely way to have that information stick for me.
Yeah, and I always find it as a good reminder later. Like if this is something you're going to put on your fridge or show people, it's great for you to remember, oh yeah, adaptations, and this is what it is. I always give them a takeaway too. And one of my biggest ones is to share what you've learned, especially with the younger kids. So we go through recycling and picking up litter and things like that, but sharing what you've learned with your friends or family is a huge thing to really boost caring for these different animals. Like the more you know about them, the more you're going to care about them. Some people may not even know a naked mole rat exists until you're told about it. So having this and be able to say, hey, go share this with someone and then create your own. It's a great little activity for that. Absolutely.
And it's a great invitation to share kind of the learning that went into that piece because it's such a fantastical creature too.
Yeah, I love it. What are you going to name yours, Tess?
That is a great question. I am kind of leaning towards Stinky in a loving way.
That's a good one. Yep.
You know what else is interesting? When you point out those features, like when you ask us, what do you notice? You know, so you notice sort of the parts of the animal and what looks really interesting. Those are the parts that often have to do with the adaptation.
Absolutely. Yep. So the animals I picked are definitely like, oh, like this is for sure something you notice. I notice, let's go to the, oh, the mole rat's a little bit hard, but how about this one? Let's share. Hold on, I need to get to the right slide to share. You know how it works with sharing your screen and digital. We've all learned this. Okay. There we go. All right, so with reproduction, we look at various animals, but you want to share that one?
Yeah, I haven't seen it pop up yet.
Oh, it should be. Oh, it went away when I did it. That's why. Look at us go.
Hey, I was muted at the beginning.
I know, that always happens. That's okay.
Let's see.
We are all doing it.
All right,
Okay.
so I think we all see your slide now.
Perfect. So with reproduction, we talk about, obviously, oh, look how cute they are. This is Red, the baby orangutan. He's 4 maybe now, I think. And our newest little panda, some of our kudus. This is one of our water dragons that she actually had a baby without ever being with a male, which is really, really cool. It's the first time that happened. And one of our kiwis.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the first time it's been observed anyway. So we talk about eggs, different, ways animals give birth. And then I already gave this away with my drawing, but I love to eat grass. I live in Australia. I jump around a lot, and I have a pouch. We see our Bennett's wallaby. And just like you were saying, like, oh, it didn't play the video. Here we go. One of the first things you notice about these animals is their adaptation. Like, look at, okay, they're very bouncy. And then you'll see it here at the end. This is one of our previous Joeys last spring. And this was her first steps kind of outside the pouch were actually caught on film. Here we go.
Amazing. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're looking at the animals, there's a Joey that's maybe getting a little too big to be in the pouch. But you're right. These adaptations can really stand out with a lot of these animals and be the first one to be noticed. Yeah.
Absolutely. I see someone's shared in the chat. Thank you, Anna. Anna says that I can see myself using this activity to focus on animal adaptations. The students could eventually label the adaptations and create a collage to simulate the textures of the fur, etc. Or even to help young children remember the different animals they saw in the video or on a field trip since they drew it themselves, and it may have more meaning than to simply look at a poster.
Absolutely. Love it. Yep. I know, everyone learns differently. So I love just incorporating various learning techniques. And art is a great way to be able to do that. I've also had a lot of teachers say, I can't call on everyone or get everyone to answer a question or ask a question, but all of their students felt engaged with the program because they were able to draw and share. We do a lot of drawing and sharing throughout, so they're able to, be part of the program that way. So that's, I'm sure, true with any classrooms in digital learning as well.
Yeah, I love that. I could see that working well when we return to being back in person too. I mean, like we've been talking about, it's an entry point that allows, more interaction and more expression, especially in something where students can work quickly on their own. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it.
Well, I'm looking at the chat and it doesn't look like we have any more questions. So I'm wondering, do we have any kind of final parting thoughts before we close up this session today?
I mean, mine, I would definitely just say, think about learning styles. Think about how you really can engage with all your students in various ways from the lessons. Whether it's moving your body like a certain animal you're talking about. We did that a lot with the kindergartners that we were working with, and that was super fun. Drawing, singing, you know, and really thinking about using animals to incorporate in all your lessons. They're really fun for kids. They're engaging, but you can write a story about them. You can draw about them. You can use them in math. So, and even with the resource with our migratory birds, there's a lot of math involved in that, especially with older kids. You know, you can map stuff out. So there's all different ways you can incorporate animals with various lessons. So just consider it.
Thank you so much, Kaden. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today, who participated in the chat. It was so great hearing from all of you. I just wanted to repeat again that this session is going to be archived. So if you want to watch it again later, share it with someone else, you can watch the archive where you're joining us at now, as well as the Help Center that Philippa shared earlier. Here you'll find this archive session alongside all of our upcoming and archive sessions. Additionally, if you want to get in touch with us after the session, we would love to hear from you. You can get in touch with us via our learning email address, learning@si.edu. This leads to the team here at the Learning Lab and educators across the Smithsonian, including Kaden. Kaden, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us today. This was really wonderful.
Of course.
Yeah.
I just want to go draw now.
I know. I want to go draw and I want to go look at the webcams.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can do both at the same time. Or play bingo, you know.
I was peeking at that bingo board while I was sharing it. There's some very funny little spots in there. I wanted to say again too to the audience that if you want to share your drawing with us or any takeaways from the session, please feel free to tweet at us at Smithsonian Lab and at National Zoo. We're both on Twitter. And with that, I see some thanks in the chat. Thank you all again. Thank you so much, Kaden, for taking the time to share these techniques with us. And I look forward to seeing everybody again soon.
Yeah. Take care. I look forward to seeing you all in future programs, hopefully.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.